The past couple of weeks for the Montreal Canadiens have not been the greatest, as things have kind of went from bad to worse. They're currently on an 8-game losing streak, and this season is kind of starting to slip away from them. The last win for the Montreal Canadiens came on November 15th against the Washington Capitals, and after that win, they were sitting pretty in a playoff spot and things were looking great for them. And obviously, throughout the course of an 82-game season, every team is going to have their ups and they're going to have their downs, but this down for the Montreal Canadiens is definitely lasting longer than I feel like a lot of people thought it would. And considering they're on an 8-game losing streak, you would think their record would be pretty awful, but it shows you how good of a start to the season they were off to, since they are still over 500 with a record of 11-10-6. And they're currently just 4 points out of the second wildcard spot behind the Pittsburgh Penguins and 5th in the Atlantic Division. And yeah, even though things might look pretty bad for this team right now, all things considered, they're not in an awful spot by any means. So now I just want to talk about some things that could be causing all this losing for the Montreal Canadiens, and I'm gonna start in the net with Carey Price. Now, realistically, when you look at this Montreal Canadiens team, and this has kind of been the case for the last 5 to 10 years, they're gonna go as far as Carey Price takes them. If he is struggling and not playing at the top of his game, then on most nights this Montreal team is gonna struggle to win games. Over Price's last 6 starts, he's 0-5-1, and he hasn't been putting up the best individual numbers either, as in that stretch of games he's only put up above a 900 save percentage twice. And I remember a couple of weeks ago I made a video talking about the 10 best goalies in the NHL so far this season, and he was in that video. He was playing fantastic. But now if I made that video again, he would be nowhere near close to the top 10, as his overall record this season is now 10-9-3 with a 3.18 goals against and an 898 save percentage. And I'm not just gonna put all the blame on Carey Price, because obviously the team in front of him isn't playing very good either. And it definitely seems like Claude Julien has lost faith in Keith Kinkaid, because he was sent down to the American Hockey League, and the reasoning is that the Montreal Canadiens want him to get his confidence back up. But I feel like that is definitely a big confidence killer, sending a guy down to the American Hockey League. Now, since they did send Keith Kinkaid down, obviously you have to call up a goaltender, and they called up Cayden Primeau, who is one of, if not the best goaltending prospects in the entire NHL, and is seen as the guy who's eventually going to be the future number 1 on this team. And Primeau is having a very good start to his first pro season with the Laval Rocket, as he has a record of 7-4-1, a 910 save percentage, and a 2.58 goals against average. But I'm pretty sure the Montreal Canadiens didn't think they would have to call him up this soon. Now, the Canadiens do play the New York Islanders tonight, obviously one of the best teams in the NHL, so it's going to be a pretty big test for them, and if they don't bring their A game, they're going to see that 8-game losing streak reach 9. And I did check to see who the expected goaltender is, and it is Carey Price, so it doesn't look like Cayden Primeau is going to get his first NHL start just yet, but I feel like he's kind of just going to serve as the backup and not really play any games unless he really has to, until Keith Kinkaid is ready to come back up to the NHL. Because Cayden Primeau is only 20 years old, so Montreal definitely wants to be careful with him and not really stunt his development at all, because throwing a 20-year-old goaltender in for his first NHL start for a team that's on a big losing streak, especially a team like Montreal, who's a big market and there's heavy criticism there, probably wouldn't be the best idea. Now, obviously, another thing you can attribute to this losing streak is them not really having the best injury luck either, as Paul Byron is currently not with the team due to injury, and same goes for Jonathan Dren, and Dren was having a great start to the season, so it was really unfortunate when he went down with that wrist injury. 2 weeks ago, he did get wrist surgery, and then it said he was to miss a minimum of 8 weeks, and 3 days ago, it was reported that he was okay to start working out, so hopefully maybe he can be a little bit ahead of schedule, because he was having himself a great start to the season with 15 points through the first 19 games, and they definitely need him back in a big way. Now, another thing I wanted to quickly touch on in this video is the struggles of Jesperi Kotkaniemi in his sophomore season. He came in last year immediately after being drafted and had a pretty strong rookie season, and heading into this season, the expectations were definitely for him to take another leap and help this team. But so far this season in 20 games, he only has 3 goals and 2 assists for 5 points and is a -5. And honestly, this is just me, not as a Habs fan, kind of from the outside looking in. I wouldn't worry about Kotkaniemi, because this is obviously something we see a lot with young players. They'll come in, have a pretty strong rookie season, but then maybe in their sophomore season, they take a little bit of a step back in terms of their point production, and this is typically something we call the sophomore slump. So it definitely would be beneficial for Montreal if he could get going offensively, and now would obviously be a great time amidst this losing streak. But again, if he continues to struggle throughout the season, I wouldn't worry about him, because usually these players that this happens to, they bounce back in their third year. Another player that has kind of been struggling for the Canadiens is Max Domi. Well, at least compared to last season, as he was the leading scorer for the Montreal Canadiens and hands down their best forward on the team. But so far this season for Max Domi in 27 games, just 6 goals and 11 assists for 17 points. So still not bad numbers by any means, but like I said, compared to last season, he definitely has slowed down. And obviously now amidst this losing streak, and especially with the injury to Jonathan Drouin, it would be a great time for Max Domi to really get hot offensively. But now let's get to some bright spots for the Montreal Canadiens amidst this season, because no matter how bad a team is, or no matter how bad it may look for that team, there is always bright spots. Starting off by talking about Thomas Tatar. I mean, how good has this guy been for Montreal so far this season? And not only this season, but pretty much ever since coming over from Vegas in the Pacioretty trade. Last year, 25 goals, 33 assists for a career high 58 points in 80 games and was a plus 21. And so far this season in 27 games, he's taken that up a notch as he has 9 goals and 15 assists for 24 points. Tatar is definitely well on his way to shattering his career high of 58 points that he put up last season, and I could definitely see him finishing in the 65 to 70 point range. And I honestly never thought he had the potential to be that type of player, but man, is he ever thriving in Montreal, and is definitely a massive bright spot for the team this season. The other bright spot I want to talk about is 20-year-old rookie Nick Suzuki, the other piece that came over from Vegas in the Max Pacioretty trade, and he is definitely having himself a pretty strong rookie season. So far this season in 27 games, he has 6 goals and 7 assists for 13 points, and it's not like he's playing on one of the top 2 lines either. And he's not putting up ridiculous numbers, but he's just having a solid rookie season, and it definitely looks like he's going to be a very, very good part to the future for Montreal. And remember, this is still a team that has prospects like Ryan Poehling, who's most likely going to be a full-time NHLer next year, and Cole Caulfield, who looks like he's going to be an elite goal scorer. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the Montreal Canadiens for this video. Again, you guys showed a lot of support on the video I did similar to this on the Detroit Red Wings, so if you guys do want to see more videos like this, make sure to smash the like button and let me know down in the comment section below what topics you want me to talk about. So if I were a Montreal Canadiens fan, I wouldn't worry just yet, because remember, an 8-game losing streak definitely sounds bad, but the team is still over 500. You're eventually gonna get Jonathan Drouin back, and even though Carey Price hasn't been playing good lately whatsoever, he is still, in my opinion, one of the best goaltenders in the NHL, and very capable of bouncing back and turning the season around for the Habs. And now that I'm making this video, Montreal is probably gonna go on some crazy winning streak anyways, because I made a video talking about Ottawa about a week ago and how they've been surprising everyone, and after that they started to lose a bunch of games. A couple days ago I also made a video on Shane Gostisbehere and his struggles this season, and the same night he scored a goal against the Detroit Red Wings. So I've kind of been jinxing a lot of things lately, so hopefully for Montreal I jinx it in a good way and they start to win some games. Now, one last thing I kind of forgot to talk about Claude Julien a little bit. I wanted to touch on him in this video, but I don't really see him being on the hot seat necessarily. There hasn't been any reports lately to indicate that either, so I think he's definitely safe for now. And if you're a fan of the Montreal Canadiens, make sure to let me know down in the comment section below how you feel about everything to do with the team. Do you think Claude Julien should be on the hot seat? And just what are your thoughts amidst this losing streak? So with all that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in tomorrow's video.